class, welcome to Abroad Sex Education, where we discuss everything you wish you learned in school. I'm your host and historian who holds men accountable, Sin. Is that fine?
Nice. That's good. Yeah.
And today, my co-host for this episode is Asa.
Unaccountable man.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe. What do I need to know?
Nothing.
This podcast is a sex education resource intended for an adult audience. We'll be having real, inclusive conversations about sexuality, pleasure, relationships, gender, identity, and more. Some topics may be considered explicit, especially in today's episode, where we'll be discussing sexual assault, workplace sexual harassment, coercion, extramarital affairs, abuse of power, revenge-driven political framing, and the exploitation of minors by high-profile individuals. We'll also be touching on historical racism, slavery, and unequal power dynamics, as these are essential for understanding the context of certain scandals. Our goal is to break the stigma and provide the kind of sex education many of us never got. We're learning too, and we're bringing what we learned straight to the classroom, so we can all grow together. You deserve to know what this is about, so you can make an informed choice to listen, or not. That's what consent looks like, even here. Are you ready?
Yeah, it's a laundry list, that's for sure.
Yes. So, as you can see from your textbook on the screen, I'm actually very proud of this.
It's beautiful.
Slide.
It's so artistic. It's really well done.
It was a fun presentation to me because it was like a textbook. Today's lesson is Behind Closed Doors, Inappropriate Scandals That Shaped American Politics.
This seems topical.
It's very topical. I wanted to talk about, obviously, all the stuff that's going on, but I didn't just want it to be like me railing on like politics.
This is clearly just because we're listening to the Hamilton soundtrack, right? That's the only thing this could possibly be in reference to.
Hamilton has a story, which we'll talk about later, but there's just so many sex scandals in America, and like after doing research on these, I'm pissed. I'm so mad. I'm very like it's I mean,
power and scandal go hand in hand when it comes to abuse of power. And
so when I was also doing research on this, I was going on Wiki Commons because they have like license-free images, and when reviewing, there is a Wikipedia list of U.S. political sex scandals, but there's not a list like this for other countries. And they'll have like UK scandals. Those are just scandals. But the U.S. one is a whole list, and it includes all like the representatives, the senators, presidents. With how many there were would not fit in this presentation or conversation at any point. So
this is the highlights. This is the American best home videos of scandals. Filtered for your
These are probably the most prominent and the most talked about ones.
Proud to be an American.
So we're probably going to talk about Hamilton. I know you've also seen me working on this presentation.
I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't seen anything.
Are you ready to get into it?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. There's going to be a few different sections for this presentation. So we're going to go into history, which is just the America's Scandal Timeline, a chronological journey through the private lives, public consequences, and scandals that shaped political culture. Then we're going to go into current events, obviously talking about what is happening now with our current commander-in-chief and the Epstein files. And then we're going to go into political science, which is how scandals shape America. And it's going to be a look at the emotional and political dynamics that turn scandals into defining moments in American history. So essentially, we're going to be talking about the women who are blamed for men's poor decisions.
Yeah, that tracks. Real quick, I like you had a whole section there on current events. I am amazed at how much is happening with that. And like how much is happening at like a pace that is really crazy to me. And so I'm curious, like I know like it's gonna take some time to edit and all that, but whatever we talk about here may not even be the full extent of whatever's going to happen. So I don't know. I thought that would be important to note. Like,
Yeah. If for some reason more stuff comes out by the time we publish it, we will probably have like a study hall or
addendum.
like
Yeah.
a
Follow-up notes.
yeah.
Review.
Just another like study group to talk about this section. I also would like to note there is going to be a history quiz. Don't
Oh my
forget
gosh,
about
I
it.
forgot again.
But the history quiz is going to be based on what we talk about in this conversation. So it'll be something you can use context clues for, but it's going to be a who said it.
Mm.
And all the answers are people that we're going to talk about.
I remember everyone telling me I have a great memory, so I'm going to do great on this quiz.
The first moment in history we're going to go back to is the messiness at Monticello, Sally Hemings and Thomas Jefferson. John Wales was Thomas Jefferson's father-in-law. The father-in-law had a non-consensual relationship with one of his slaves. So, in 1773, Sally Hemings was born as a slave in Monticello, and therefore Sally Hemings was part of the property the Jefferson family inherited.
Okay, yeah.
So Martha Wales Jefferson and Sally Hemings are half-sisters.
Martha Wales Jefferson, Thomas Jefferson's wife,
Yes,
and Sally Hemings
are half-sisters.
are half sisters because they both had the same dad, John Wales. Okay, got
Yes.
it. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And so they inherit the estate, but at age 33, Martha Jefferson dies.
She dies.
And then at this time, Sally was 9 years old.
Right.
When Sally was 14 years old, this is when Thomas Jefferson was the ambassador to France.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was already in France with one of his daughters.
Right.
And so he wanted one of his other younger daughters to come too. So he ordered Sally and his youngest daughter to take a ship and go meet him in France. And so they traveled over there, and that's when the non-consensual relationship between Thomas Jefferson and Sally begins.
At age 14.
She was 14, and he was 30 years her senior, so he was 44.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's an opener. First slide. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get into it.
Yeah. When she was in France with him, she was technically free because the American slave laws didn't really apply
in France.
But she didn't know anyone. She didn't speak the language. Just in the middle of a country she's never been before. So she didn't ever leave. But she starts to get pregnant and starts having its children. It's believed that they made some sort of agreement that if she were to come back and to continue being a slave, that in the future he would give freedom to the kids that they had together.
Oh, so nothing about her, but
No, she was still a slave.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
She had 6 of his children, only 4 of them survived. She lived in the house, and her children also stayed in the house, which is uncommon because they were children of slaves. But Jefferson never publicly acknowledged these children. He just stayed quiet. A lot of people thought it was weird. They were just what the heck? Why are these slaves allowed in the house? And in 1802, a political journalist who hated Jefferson printed allegations that he kept a slave concubine named Sally and had children with her. Jefferson never denied it. He just didn't say anything. So the story died because he just didn't acknowledge it.
Wow, that would never happen today.
Right.
That's crazy.
So it was a very open secret. People knew, but because he was very well liked, it didn't become an issue.
Right. Because I remember, I've definitely heard about Sally Hemings, and I knew that there was I've heard the name, but I didn't really know the situation about how there was some kind of a situation between them. Or that they had kids. I actually didn't know that they had kids together. And that there was some kind of a conditional agreement thing that they had set up. So that's very, very interesting. How long were they in France together? Did she had all 4 of the kids in France? Or all 6 of the kids in France?
She became pregnant in France, but she didn't give birth in France. So she returned home when she was 16. So she negotiated something. We don't know what it was, but she negotiated the agreement. But that baby did not survive. That first child did not survive.
16.
Yes.
That's crazy.
The 4 children that survived were the only enslaved people that Jefferson freed in his lifetime. I think one of them wasn't freed. I think it was one of the sons wasn't freed when he passed away, but he made sure that his daughter knew to free them.
In his will or whatever.
Yeah, his full white daughter, I don't know, to free them. So they did. And so this whole relationship's obviously questionable because she couldn't fully consent considering she was owned by him.
Right. Yeah, she had so many choices in that matter.
Yeah. There was no autonomy for her. A formerly enslaved blacksmith named Isaac Granger in 1847 said, Sally was mighty nearly white. Sally was very handsome, long straight hair down her back. She could have been very white passing, very light skin. You know how Halsey and Haley Steinfeld are really white passing?
I don't know those names.
The woman who's in the Sinners movie that I really like.
Okay, yeah.
And then Halsey is a musician then.
Okay, gotcha.
She was already half white and then he was white. Some of their children were white passings in society when they grew up. So yeah, he...
But they were still considered slaves though.
Yeah, he kept them as slaves.
Right.
Still kept them enslaved.
It's really hard to comprehend. I guess you have to be so dissociated from or this at a certain point you should know this is your family, right? Or your blood or whatever. But I guess he didn't. His care for that extended to, okay, well, I'll free these people when I'm dead.
Yeah, I mean, some of them he did free when he was alive, but this is also the man who wrote the all men should be created equal. Obviously, he just meant men. But...
Right.
In this presentation, we have a painting that is a depiction of what Sally may have looked like during the time. There's no record of it because she was a slave and they're not going to do a portrait of a slave because they're assholes. And then a portrait of Jefferson. Another picture is a graffitied statue of Thomas Jefferson that's in France. And on the graffiti, it says, own slaves, rape them, and refuse to... What does that say? Refuse to acknowledge, I think. Refuse to...
Something his black baby?
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure what that word is, but...
And then it says rotten hell. So that is the messiness at Monticello.
Did you read anything about I don't know, public acknowledgement or sentiment towards that? Or did nobody really cared because they were slaves and so...
Yeah, people didn't care because they were slaves. The next one is going to be how Hamilton brought receipts and it backfired. So, Mariah Reynolds, let's just sing the song.
How can I say no to this?
If you haven't seen Hamilton, what's wrong with you? So, the story is Mariah Reynolds was a young woman who went to Hamilton in his Philadelphia home. She knocked on the door and she was like, I know you are. She went up to him and told him my husband left me. Would hit me. He's cheating on me and he just abandoned me and I need help. And he was like, okay, I'll help you. I'll come to your place later. She's like, all right, cool. So she goes home. And later she let him upstairs. And then he took that as okay, it's time to get busy. That's when they have their first encounter. At this point, Hamilton is married with children to Elizabeth Schuyler. Her husband, James Reynolds, finds out that his wife is sleeping with Hamilton, so he goes up to him and extorts him. And he encourages, he's like, you can keep sleeping there. And so Hamilton does. At first, there had been moments where Hamilton was like, no, I need to stop this. And then she's like, no. That's why some people believed it, they may have been plotting together to extort. Hamilton, I don't think that's the
Oh,
case.
like the Reynolds
Yeah.
part. Yeah, okay, I see.
I don't think that's the case. For the reason because, well, they get divorced anyway. Like, her and Reynolds get divorced, which Aaron Burr helped Mariah Reynolds divorce James Reynolds.
That's wild.
Anyway, back to what we were saying. Hamilton was part of the Federalist Party, and there were, like, rumors spreading around that he was doing some shady financial things, and as the Secretary of Treasury, you can't be doing shady financial things. So 3 Democratic Republicans confronted him. James Monroe, Frederick Muhlenberg, and Abraham Venable. Not the 3 people in the musical Hamilton. That was wrong. They confronted Hamilton, and they were like, what the heck? We think you're doing shady stuff. And he was like, no, I'm not. I'm just having an affair. Here are the receipts.
Right.
And so James Monroe writes a letter to Thomas Jefferson saying, like, hey, this is happening. He, like, girlfriend, oh my gosh. And so it ends up starting to come out more and more that Hamilton may be doing some shady financial stuff. And so Hamilton wants to just nip it in the bud. He's just like, no. You know what? I'm not going to let them control the narrative. I'll control the narrative. So then he publishes a 95-page paper known as the Reynolds Pamphlet that included multiple letters, gave a timeline, and told the entire personal story and included the financial receipts of him being extorted. So he over-explained and overshared the entire story. He could have just said, I was being extorted because I was having an affair. But he wanted to lay it out. He allegedly included letters that Mariah had sent him, but he could have just rewritten those. We don't know. Like, it's very clear that he was writing to defend his name. And so that
was the goal in the writing.
Yeah, the goal in the writing. So that doesn't make it 100% credible in as a resource. So it was a really big scandal. It was... A lot of people were like, it was so scandalous because it revealed so much. Because he, like, obviously was like, I was having
personal information.
Yeah.
And
all the personal information that was coming out. So it was very, very scandalous. On the presentation, there is a line. I want to just include this because it's like kind of where they got the line for the song. Where it says, the charge against me is a connection with one James Reynolds for a purpose of improper pecuniary speculation. My real crime is an amorous connection with his wife for a considerable time with his privity and connivance. With his knowing consent. So, Lord, show me how to say no to this.
This is the insider, how the lyrics of Hamilton were written.
Yeah. So, I also have a depiction of the Reynolds Pamphlet song from Hamilton on the presentation as well as a picture of Alexander Hamilton. I could not find a photo of Mariah Reynolds.
It's funny because I definitely have seen that exact picture of Hamilton in the textbooks. That's it seems like a very recognizable picture to me. And I remember as a kid, I have no idea what age this would have been, but I remember this is, for some reason, something that's locked in my head. I remember reading about the Reynolds pamphlets, and I just didn't understand. I didn't get it. I was like, what, he wrote some letters? Like, I just couldn't comprehend
they just
the
were
idea.
Like, he ruined his career by writing some letters.
Right. I remember being as a child, like, I genuinely don't understand what was it that he did. He just wrote some stuff. Like, I'm learning to write. Like, but it was because it was an affair, and I don't think I had a concept of what that was at that age, whatever that was, of like, but yeah, I think something like that happens, right? Like, if there wasn't the public scrutiny, which it clearly sounds like, early days of America, there wasn't that. They were trying to figure stuff out. They're trying to build a government, right? Like, I don't think they had necessarily the time to do a whole lot of scandalous, assessment of the people who were, building the new nation, right? But yeah, I can imagine that just being like complete jaw dropper of what is this guy doing? Like, why is he writing this and publishing it for everyone to read about?
Yeah. People weren't really concerned about the affair. They are more concerned about the fact that, like, he was, posting about how he just, like, got extorted.
What a millennial response.
Yeah.
Posting his
Oh, he published
published, yeah.
about how he was getting. It's just the fact that he was like getting extorted,
Yeah.
and like. So why it was different than Jefferson is because one, Hamilton publicly confessed in his 95-page pamphlet versus Jefferson, who just didn't say anything.
Right.
Hamilton, his scandal involved a married white woman, and then Jefferson's involved a slave. So.
Right.
And then Hamilton's scandal suggested financial corruption, which was the reason why it was a big deal. Not so much the affair, but the fact that it was a suggestion of financial scandal was why it ruined his career.
Because he was a person in power and because he was the Treasury representative.
Yeah, the Secretary of Treasury.
And then that's why people, yeah, okay, makes sense.
Yeah. Hamilton was also apparently very polarizing at the time, and Jefferson was beloved. Even though, yeah. So, he's never gonna be president now. He wasn't. He never got to be president like he dreamed of.
That's interesting because I don't know, this is the first, like, example of an American scandal. I'm sure there was some other kind of something that happened before this, but it is definitely the first political scandal that I think I would have ever thought of when you like even showed it. That's the first thing that popped in my mind of like, okay, like realistically, I don't really think of that many instances historically of scandal, and it's a lot of probably like lack of information. Like I just haven't learned it, right? But a lot of what I think of are scandals today are radically different, I think, than what would probably be considered scandals at the time, right? Like, I don't know. I mean, it would still, I guarantee you, it would still not go over well with most people that a politician was having an affair today, right? But I don't think that anybody would be writing a 95-page essay about it and writing and distributing it, right? It's very interesting.
Yeah.
It's too bad that Mariah Reynolds, we don't get to hear her say.
There's two worlds that could have happened. One was she was actually very vulnerable and he took advantage. Or it could have been, she could potentially have been planning with her husband.
Conspiring with her husband.
To extort him. From how scummy her husband seems, I don't feel like he was doing it for the benefit of their relationship.
Well, and like I can kind of see it, right? Like if my partner was domestically abusing me, it does seem like a logical thing to go to somebody who is in a state of political power, whatever his position was at that time. I don't know. But he was
Secretary of Treasury.
Well, sure, but I think wasn't he also like some kind of like local representative or something? He was something like that. Like he was people knew who he was. Like, they knew that he had a political. Oh, like can you do something for me?
Yeah.
Right. I can totally see that. Right.
Yeah.
And then if something happened as a result of that, like I can see that more likely than it being some kind of planned.
Right. Because why would a man plot with a woman at this time? With these, I always have to obviously take them all with a grain of salt. She was 23, which is not terrible, but the age gap is obviously not ideal. It wasn't that. It was only like, it was like almost 13 years. So it was not as large as the age gap as Jefferson and Hemings. But it's still a significant age difference where clearly someone that's vulnerable is being taken advantage of. So that was Hamilton. And he never became president because of it.
I definitely think that the way over zealousness of writing this enormous book effectively to try to clear his own name, right? I don't remember ever hearing about anything from Mariah Reynolds' side, right? Like that's not what the history books talk about, right? They talk about, oh, well, how did it affect Hamilton and how did that affect what the political state of things was happening at that time, right? But it's still very, the man's side.
She divorces James at some point. She leaves the country for a little while, and then she comes back and marries someone else. Continue to
The
live her
rest of
life.
her
Yeah.
life, yeah.
So, the scandal did blow over, but
Mm-hmm.
Hamilton's life was ruined because of it. Watch Hamilton if you haven't.
Yeah, strong recommendation. Disney Plus / you could probably see it on YouTube at this point, or at least Spotify.
Okay. Next is going to be Maria Halpin and Grover Cleveland. This story. Ugh. So this story.
I don't know anything about this one, so this is new to me.
Okay, so in 1884, Grover Cleveland was running for president. During his presidential campaign, newspapers started coming out to reveal that Grover Cleveland may have fathered a child out of wedlock with a woman named Maria Halpin, and that this child was taken away from her for disturbing circumstances. So essentially, what happened was Maria Halpin's like a 28-year-old widow. She's hanging out in Buffalo, New York, and she's socially knows Grover Cleveland and his other friends, like his group of friends.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a lawyer. At some point in 1974, Maria Halpin gets pregnant, and she names the child Oscar Folsom Cleveland, which is named after both Oscar Folsom, which is Grover Cleveland's one of his best friends, and Grover Cleveland. So Maria Halpin potentially could have had sexual relationships with a bunch of his friends. Grover Cleveland was the only one that wasn't married. He was single. All of his friends were in relationships. So Halpin ends up having this kid. When she has the kid, the baby is taken from her. They put the baby in an orphanage, and then they put her in an asylum.
Oh, they locked her up.
They locked her up.
They tried to silence her.
Yeah, this is documented. This is clearly at a time where we don't have DNA testing, so we don't know paternity of this child is. But Halpin claimed that the encounter between her and Grover Cleveland was non-consensual. She said that he followed her home, used his power to force himself on her, and threatened her afterwards.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. And so that, and then he obviously takes the baby once it's born, already looks terrible. This is 1874. And so 10 years later, he's running for president in 1884, and this comes back up again. He was a Democrat. And so at rallies and campaign rallies, the Republicans would chant, "Mama, where's my pa?" So that became the chant of that campaign. So it was really well known. However, when the scandal was resurfaced, he was like, "I'll take responsibility because I'm the only one that's single, so it's probably mine," because he didn't want to throw all of his other friends under the bus who are married. And so everyone's like, "Wow, what a stand-up guy. He's taking ownership. That could be his child. Wow. He is so honest. What a respectable man." And so he was a stand-up bachelor. The press was very sympathetic to him. And they painted Maria Halpin as a liar and a temptress and morally questionable. So she could have potentially been assaulted by several men.
Right, it's so unclear. You don't even know what happened.
And because they were scared that one of them could have potentially been the father, they took away her baby and locked her up.
What was do we know what the charge was against her? Or what did they say? How did they get her to be locked up? Because at that time, had to have some kind of a reason.
I don't understand in what world you think men need a reason to lock women up at that time.
Right, no, I'm just curious, right? It's suspicious these guys are, whatever they're worried about, whether one of them is the father or not. I'm just curious, how do you said he was a lawyer? Is it because of Grover Cleveland? Grover Cleveland was the one that, is associated with getting her put in the insane asylum?
Yeah. He used his political connections to have her declared insane and involuntarily committed after she accused him of sexual assault and refused to give him custody of her baby.
So he just leveraged whatever he had to just put her in behind bars or whatever. Some kind of insane. Okay. That's crazy. Man, such a politician move. What the heck?
Yeah, yeah,
That's really messed up. It's messed up too because like if the press reaction to it was like, "Oh, well, we have to clearly support this guy because he didn't do anything wrong. He's helping out this kid." Like the fact that like he used his political position and power and connections, or someone that he was associated with did. I don't know if it was him explicitly, right? But like they got her to go behind bars and took this kid away from her
yeah,
to try and quiet it down.
yeah. But he owned up to it. He
Yeah.
said it could have been mine, and they were like, "Wow, oh my God, look at him. He's acknowledging that could be his."
Mm.
He did the bare minimum
Mm-hmm.
and acknowledging the fact that he could potentially be the father. And then he won. He won. He became president.
This is an interesting thing, right? I think a lot of it comes down to like the burden that comes to a mother of being stuck with a kid once the kid is born, whereas the dad is gone 9 months prior. He doesn't even potentially even know or have any connection to it. I don't know. It's just like a biological like insufficiency in the parenting situation, right? Like, because this thing never happens the other way, really, right? It's not like I don't know. You never hear a case of like, oh, some woman has a kid and then promptly drops it off at the dad's doorstep and bails, right? They just don't. There's nobody lets that happen. Like it doesn't.
Did you hear about that really popular Reddit post where it was like a guy who him and his ex got pregnant and then she told him, he was like, "No, I want to keep it." And she's like, "I don't want to keep it." And he's like, "Well, I want to keep it." She's like, "No, I want to get an abortion." He was like, "No, just keep it and I'll take care of the kid." And she's like, "Okay, fine." So she keeps the baby, and then 9 months later, she like gives away full custody to this man. She like lives her life, it gets snatched, like just lives her life, does pays child support. And then the Reddit post is him complaining that he wants to make her have half the custody because he's so tired, and he's like, "I didn't realize how much work to take care of this
That's
child."
hilarious.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I mean, that really sucks for the kid. Also sucks for the woman who literally carried this baby for 9 months and now is still getting stuck with child support bills that she has nothing to do with. Like,
Yeah.
that's bullshit.
Yeah. But you want to hear how this gets worse?
This thing? Okay, sure.
Not this, but I guess Grover Cleveland gets
Yeah,
worse.
yeah, yeah.
So remember how I told you his best friend was named Oscar Folsom? Oscar Folsom and his wife had a daughter named Frances Folsom, and that was who he married when she was 21 and he was 49.
Sorry, who married who?
Grover Cleveland married his best friend's
Daughter.
daughter when she was
Ah.
21 and he was 49. He knew her since
Ooh.
infancy.
What the hell?
And so yeah, it was but his best friend had passed away by this point, so it was okay.
That's so confusing and just gross and I don't know. So here's the thing, right? Like so, there's always someone that says, "Oh, like love is love." Like, you can love has no age bounds or whatever. But like, I don't know. At a certain point, how do you not recognize that this like child is a completely different stage of life than you at any point? And how is that? I don't know. There really no other options? There's no one who's your like decade that was interested in you? I don't know. It seems bizarre. It's just like very cringy.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't judge people for their age gaps. I judge the situation in which they
I
get
judge.
together.
I judge.
I
Yeah.
don't judge people's age gaps. I don't think it's ideal because to me personally, like, what do I have in common with someone who's like 50 years old?
Right. That's what I'm getting at, right? Like, I mean, I feel like I have this conversation with people who are younger than me all the time. Like, oh, you're a very different life stage than me, and you're in your 20s, right? Let alone like teenage, right? I think beyond even 5 years, 5, 10 years, it seems like people are in very different chapters. Obviously, some people are more wise or worldly or whatever for my age or whatever. Like that happens, but I don't know. It's always the older guy and then the younger girl too, right? Like it
You don't have to
seems.
tell me. I was
Yeah.
always the younger girl in pretty much every other relationship since you. So
Since me. What the?
before you.
Oh, okay. Well, good. Now I'm the young one, so it
Yeah.
all evens out.
So the phrase of this slide was "Mama, where's my paw?" So that's the Republicans chant that they would chant during the rallies and campaign speeches to mock Grover Cleveland. But after he won, the Democrats responded, "Gone to the White House, ha ha ha."
I mean, that is funny. Like,
So yeah, this piece of shit
yeah.
just put this woman into a insane asylum because he did some shady shit and he wanted to silence her. I don't see an alternative in which it's not like she was trying to. So she just had the baby, and he was like, "No."
Yeah, like what is he trying to accomplish by putting her in an insane asylum? Just to completely prevent her from being able to talk about it. Sure. Yeah, that's wild. Could never be a politician.
He placed the child in the Buffalo Orphans Asylum. He arranged for the child to be adopted by a wealthy family and used the adoption to clean his political image.
Oh, that's how. Okay, I see. So he got somebody else to take. He didn't have anything to do with the kid. He just paid somebody else. Like, oh, great, I'll adopt the kid.
Yeah. You guys take care of it. I don't want it.
So it's okay. That I misunderstood because I thought it was like, oh, he was paying her money so that she could take care of the kid. No, she's in the insane asylum. Well, she's or
So, Cleveland accused her of being mentally unstable, even though there was no evidence, but it was a common tactic in the 19th century because men would often weaponize insanity as a legal tool to control women. When he had her forcibly committed, he had ties to the police, the sheriff's offices, the local judge, and the board of charities who oversaw the asylums. So when he made that claim, that's why the police immediately just acted on his word. And she was taken into custody to the Providence Lunatic Asylum. There was reports show there was no medical diagnosis, no examination, and the commitment was just done on his request.
what the heck?
And she was released after one day because the superintendent of the asylum examined her and said she was perfectly sane and should have never been brought here.
What the fuck? That's wild.
So she never regained custody of her son. He had the baby placed in the Buffalo Orphans Asylum without her consent. She never got him back.
Yeah, see, that's crazy. I totally misunderstood that. I thought you were saying oh, he was seen as a good guy because he gave money to this woman so that she could raise this kid. But
No.
what actually happened is that he gave money to some other fucking family so they would take the kid away and she still didn't get the kid.
Yeah.
She got nothing.
He paid for her hospital bills and the orphanage fees to maintain the appearance of responsibility. That's how he ended up later spinning it during the election. Like, I took responsibility. Right. I handled it. But that's why they he's a stand-up guy because he took care of the situation. So yeah.
Bizarre.
That's Grover Cleveland. Fucking asshole. Next is Donna Rice and Gary Hart. So this is the moment paparazzi said, "Okay, bet." You don't know what that means, do you?
I mean, I do, but I don't know this story, so I don't know. I'm guessing the picture on the right.
So Gary Hart is a Democratic senator from Colorado. He was really charming and very charismatic. He was the front runner for the 1988 presidential election. He's a nice guy, really popular, very charming. He was really handsome at the time. And he was seen as the future of the Democratic Party. He was also married. This is the start of when, like, politics started getting covered
Like the
in, like, a
lens.
paparazzi style way.
Mm-hmm.
And so in May of 1987, the Miami Herald started pressing him about an affair. In May of 1987, and he was like, no. He explicitly says, follow me around. I don't care. If anybody wants to put a tail on me, go ahead. They'd be very bored.
Mm-hmm. So at first, very clearly denying that there's any kind of an affair at all.
Very clearly denies it.
Mm-hmm.
But his story was just kind of inconsistent. But then the iconic photo that you'll see on the right, it's called the monkey business photo because he has a shirt that says monkey business on. It's just a very clear photo of a woman sitting on his lap. That's not his wife.
Yeah. Yeah, he's scumbag.
So within a week, this all happens within the week. Like, they say, like, we think you're having an affair. He's like, no, I'm not. Follow me around. And then they follow him around. They find this picture. I don't know.
Like a,
I don't know what
reporter? Like,
I don't think it was a reporter. I think it was just I don't know where they got it. I don't know where they got this picture. Paparazzi was like hounding him, following everywhere. They see Donna Rice go in and out of his house like a few times. Then they dig up this picture.
I see.
And so within the week, it gets publicized. They hound him relentlessly, and then he just drops out of the political race.
Yeah.
And Donna Rice becomes like publicly humiliated, shamed, and dragged. But later on, she ended up rebuilding her life and became a digital safety advocate, president of a nonprofit called Enough is Enough, and a respected anti-exploitation activist. This one is important because this was the first time, like, press got very, like, paparazzi tabloidy.
Right.
And, like, it was reported in that way.
Well, it's interesting, too, because you have the timeline here on the slides of, May the 3rd is when the news article, or they discuss the affair, and then by the 9th, he's already quit the, like, campaign that he's, actively involved in, which I'm guessing, based on the title, the front runner, he was doing very well at until this all happened. So it's interesting, like, you have such a kind of fast turnaround of like, oh, this would shut somebody down, right, because of the news.
It was this really, charismatic guy who just had an affair, and like
out there doing monkey business.
Yeah. This one wasn't, in my mind, as scandalous as the other ones that we just talked about, but it had major impact because of how it was covered.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder if this, because of what happened, right? Because there was a political response of this front runner, quote unquote, to exit the race. Seeing that happen, whether by his choice or whatever, helped fuel a lot of the things that we see nowadays, where it's like, oh, like any little tiny thing that, one political party can point to the other person as, oh, well, they have a flaw, this is an issue, right? It's very like hate campaign-y kind of stuff. Well, they'll dump it on the news or whatever to be like, oh, well, look at how bad of a character this person is, so that we can like use that to our advantage to get them out of office or out of the race, right?
It's political sabotage. They're trying to sabotage their opponent.
Right.
It's definitely. And you know who won the presidency?
I have no idea.
George H.W. Bush.
This is, oh, okay. Interesting. 1987. Yeah, okay. All right.
Which led the way for our next political scandal. Not with George H.W. Bush, but with Anita Hill and Clarence Thomas. So this one is different. So Clarence Thomas is a Supreme Court justice. Piece of shit, but also a Supreme Court justice. Anita Hill is a law professor, civil rights and gender equity advocate, and former attorney at the Department of Education and the EEOC, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. In the early 1980s, Anita Hill started working for Clarence Thomas at the Department of Education. She was hired as his legal advisor. Later on, she ended up working for him at the EEOC. Hill alleged that during this time, he would make repeated unwelcome sexual comments, discuss pornography, talked about his own sexual preferences, referenced women with large breasts, pressure her to date him, commented on his anatomy, his penis, described pornographic scenes involving bestiality, and created a hostile working environment.
Wow. Okay. So this is happening in the early 1980s then, based on the timeline, when they're working together.
Yeah, they started, yes.
Okay. Wild.
Yeah. And so these allegations happened way, 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 way before he's nominated for the Supreme Court. He's nominated for the Supreme Court in 1991 by President George H.W. Bush. When a justice is nominated, the FBI is supposed to do like background check. It's like literally like a background check of your job. As part of this, Anita Hill provided the FBI a confidential statement about Clarence Thomas's behavior as part of the routine background check for a Supreme Court justice. Her statement was shared by Joe Biden's staffer to Joe Biden, who was the head of the Senate Judicial Committee. Then they invited her to testify, and she's like, okay, I'll do it, but it has to be a closed session. But because there was so much like public reporting on it, the Judicial Committee felt pressured to open it to as a public hearing.
So she wanted to keep it private, but give him the discredit he deserved by saying her piece, and then they'd made it into a public thing that she didn't actually probably want.
I don't think she like did to discredit. She was like, I'll tell them what happened.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like, but it sounds like if she didn't want it to be public, right? And then because I'm sure some news agency got wind of it, and then they're like, oh, we have to make it public now because we want to.
Yeah, it got pressured to be public. So on October 11th, 1991, Anita Hill testified for 8 hours before an all-male, all-white Senate Judiciary Committee led by Joe Biden.
Baller. That's crazy.
Yeah. And when she spoke, which we'll watch the video, she was very calm. She didn't waver. She was very specific and consistently detailed. A lot of the questions directed to her were very hostile, graphic, and inappropriate. And she was interrogated about why she didn't report it at the time. Like they were like, well, why didn't you keep working with him
Victim
if you're
blamey kind of stuff? Yeah. Oh wow. Okay.
I actually want to show you the videos. This video is the most outrageous question senators asked Anita Hill in 1991 during her congressional hearing. I'm probably not going to have it in the podcast, but I want you to see how they treated this woman because there's a physical record of it. So millions of Americans watched, and it became a big moment because it just displayed how we talk about workplace harassment. The FBI is supposed to do an investigation. Well, it was very similar to what happened with the Christine Blasey Ford, where they just passed it along. They did like a background check and wasn't a full investigation. Only lasted 3 days. No witnesses were cross-examined, and there was also corroborating witness, 3 to 4 corroborating witnesses that they had who were ready to testify on her behalf, including women who had experienced similar or seen similar behavior from Thomas, but they were refused by the Senate and they were prevented from giving statements and kept off official records. But these women included Angela Wright, Sukari Hardnett, and Rose Jourdain. So there was more people that could have corroborated the story, but they didn't want to corroborate it.
I imagine a lot of that comes from her being a, legal person who can present herself clearly and articulately, right? That's probably the only reason that they even let her go in.
Yeah.
And even then, like, their reactions are like, oh, well, I fail to understand how you could possibly have these kinds of feelings, right? Or why didn't you report it immediately?
After this, in 1992, this became the year of the woman because so many women were pissed about how this went down that a record number of women ran and won seats for Congress the following year. So it really motivated people. So that was great.
Mm-hmm.
And it caused workplace harassment laws to be strengthened.
I mean, I'm impressed by the way that she spoke and defended that shit. Because I genuinely have. I mean, she even said it. It's like how difficult would it be to talk about that? And in the front of all of this like public scrutiny, it's such an amazing like ability of confidence and clarity of thought. It's so bullshit.
Yeah. So I was like reading through this excerpt, and it was talking about how because of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which like you couldn't discriminate hiring someone based on the basis of gender, sex, all that. It's when women were joining the workforce, but the way that men would combat women joining the workforce was by bullying them and sexually harassing them and making their lives miserable so that they wouldn't want to come to work. But women persevered. In 2019, the Senate quietly admitted that they mishandled the case, and Joe Biden has since apologized to Anita Hill for how the case was handled. But it was super shitty of the Senate committee to do that.
Yeah, that's wild. That's really crazy. I've definitely heard of Anita Hill and Clarence Thomas, but I definitely never watched that clip or looked into it ever. It's really wild. Like, I definitely can understand why you would feel like she even said it, right? Like, I felt worried about my job prospects. I felt worried about like my conditions, and I didn't even feel safe like looking for something else because of how he would react.
Yeah, when Clarence Thomas gave his testimony, he was pissed. He was pissed. He was like, he was trying to be like, this is racist. Which I was like, you're getting accused by a black woman. Like, it's not a race thing. There's a picture on the presentation of Anita Hill giving her testimony, like the one we just listened to. And then also, he ended up getting sworn in at a 52-48 margin for the vote.
Supreme Court being a lifetime job is wild to me.
Who wants to work till they're dead?
Yeah, right. Who can work till they're dead?
That wasn't meant for... But that was supposed to be when lifetime only meant like 50.
Yeah.
The hell? Stupid. There should be time limits. Anyway. That's what happened.
That's wild.
She has a book, and she more recently was on, I believe it was Stephen Colbert, and she was like, it didn't really hit me how much of an impact this made until I was giving a presentation at a school, and a kid asked me, like, what's it like to know that you changed history?
Aww.
Yeah. Are you okay, Chloe?
Yeah. It's wild, like, yeah. I mean, she's super impressive. Like, yeah.
Are you okay?
I'm fine. I'm fine.
This happened, but it impacted us in society in a very positive way, and it emboldened a lot of women to run for Congress, which is fantastic. Oh no! That's the bell. Looks like we're out of time, but we're not done yet. In 2 weeks, join us for part 2. Have any questions about human sexuality? Submit them to our anonymous form linked in the show notes. Your homework? Share this episode with a friend, because the best way to destigmatize sex is to talk about it. And if you're ready for extra credit, grab our free Essential Sex Conversations workbook by signing up for our newsletter. That's it for today's lesson. Class dismissed.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye!